What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Don. We are back with another video. Oh my god, they did it. The Toronto Raptors did it. And you know what's crazy? Everything that I said that needed to happen for them to win, in a lot of ways did. But first of all, hey, let's take no credit away from the Raptors for doing what they did, but we have to acknowledge also that the Golden State Warriors are probably one of the best teams the NBA has ever seen, And unfortunately, this was the year that for the Warriors, things happened that were not in their favor, which did not allow them to advance through the playoffs by winning. And of course, now it was their turn to be hit with the injury bug. Um, wow, so many things happened that are going to change the dynamics of the NBA over the next 3 or 4 years at least. But let's just start with the game. Toronto Raptors winning outright on Golden State's floor, and with the way this game was going, I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for Clay going down, it could have been a totally different game. And you could have argued that there's a good chance that the Toronto Raptors would have lost this game if it wasn't for Clay going out. Um, it's sometimes it's not even the best team. Sometimes it's the healthiest team that ultimately wins the game, and you got to remember that. Of course, like I said, there were also times when Golden State won that there were certain players that went out. A couple years back, Chris Paul, and we also had Kyrie one year, if you remember. So we got to take that in consideration sometimes that injuries are part of the game. As we go over the box scores yesterday, 114, 110. What did I tell you? I said about 109, 1 something, right? I told you that. I told you exactly that. I told you that it was going to be in the mid hundreds. Just because these are two high scoring teams, I got a lot to talk about. So let's talk about the winners first. Kawhi Leonard put up 22. Didn't have his best game. I would say Leonard did not have his best game. But what allowed them to win, of course, was Lowry's good play. And this is what I always said about Lowry. You can go back to the other videos that I told you. Kyle Lowry had to score above 20 points for them to have a really good chance of winning. And he balled out this game. No matter how mad you got at Kyle Lowry for not really doing what he's supposed to, missing opportunities, just making weird decisions with the basketball. He showed out today, and it set them on a course to win the game. Because he started out so hot, he was not missing. He almost had. I think he already had like 15, 16 points by the end of the first quarter, and that helped him out so much. Next person I want to talk about, Pascal Siakam. Finally, he had a game where he could dominate, and I told you that it's hard for Golden State to guard this man. Besides Iguodala, they don't have anybody else that can really guard him. So they put a lot of pressure on Pascal to just hit his threes in the beginning, and he was doing that. And since he was hitting his threes, I think his confidence really received a boost because I don't think he had hit a three the previous two games before this one. So that helped him out a lot. Marcus Gasol was very active on the rebounds. Played very well. Everybody had such a great game. My guy Van Vliet with 22 balling out. Mind you, he's the backup point guard. So if Lowry had 26 and Van Vliet has 22, you already know it's a problem. It's an absolute problem. But I'm really happy for that guy because he came from almost nowhere. Really, last guy to be picked on the Raptors team. Um, was undrafted. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys, it's a scrappy team, kind of put together. Serge Ibaka was huge defensively, 15 points. You know what I'm saying? If there was ever an open layup and you saw Ibaka chasing it down, there was a very good chance he was blocking it. You know what I'm saying? Rebounds were huge with him as well. He often he would hit a mid-range jumper to get him back into the game, even if Toronto was down four. You know. Norman Powell, he didn't really do much. Danny Green, man, that boy Danny Green, lucky. If you remember at the end of the game, he caused a crucial turnover, even though the spot that he was at, it wasn't really his fault because they actually trapped really well and they trapped him against the baseline. And from there, he turned over the ball, but it didn't result in anything because, they came out on top and won. But yeah, so this team is going to go down in history. For being able to do what they did, just a bunch of players collectively with a great coach in Nick Nurse. So take nothing away from them. Yeah, maybe faith could have been different injury wise. KD, Clay, even Boogie being healthier. But that's the game sometimes. So I'm not really gonna talk that much about it. I'll talk about it more for the Warriors side. If I go to the Warriors box score now, because here's where it gets interesting. The player with the most points in the Warriors had 30, which is Klay Thompson. Now, if Klay stayed in the game, they probably would have won this game. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not even a Warriors fan. Iguodala came up huge too with 22 points. The reason Iguodala today had 22, or yesterday rather, was because they were leaving him open 43. He had to take the shots. Draymond Green played amazing. 19 rebounds, 13 assists, 11 points. Makes you wonder sometimes about Draymond though, like what he could really be if he wasn't on the Warriors. Um, what type of player? He's like a modern day. He's more like a modern day. I can't remember. Oh, Chris Webber. You know what I'm saying? Just doing a little bit of everything. Quinn Cook didn't really show out today. That probably would have been a difference. But of course, we know that the injuries is what hurt the Warriors the most. Um, but they were so dangerous in so many other ways. And sometimes in the NBA, it's just time for a new champion. It was just time for a new champion. That's why I had a good feeling it was the Raptors in six, because the Raptors really didn't rely on one player. Um, they got the whole team. But Klay Thompson going off, he probably could have came. I don't know if he would have came back in the game. But since the injury happened with KD, they weren't going to take a second risk. I read this morning that I'm sorry, that Klay has a torn ACL now. So we don't know how bad that is. It's crazy what's going on in the Warriors now, man. So KD is out the whole season already. And we're not even maybe 5 days into the official end of the season. Already major injuries for Golden State. Um, that just makes me wonder what's next for Golden State. I'm thinking that KD will probably resign because he's in a lot of mental stress right now, and the best way to deal with it is just to stay with the team that you've been on. I don't see KD going to the Knicks at this point, to be honest. Had he won now, I probably would have been like, yeah, there's a really good chance, but I don't think so that he's coming to the Knicks. Kyrie will probably go to Brooklyn now. And yeah, Kawhi will probably stay in Toronto now. I don't really see him leaving after you win a championship. Just being realistic from a Knicks fan perspective, I don't really see a lot of changes happening, to be honest. We're kind of in play for AD, but the assets that we would have to give up are probably too much, so that probably won't happen. AD is a good chance of going to Boston. D'Angelo Russell will probably resign in Brooklyn, but me personally, I think Kyrie will hurt the chemistry. So the Utah Jazz might not be a bad option for him, but of course he's not leaving. Do you see how the injuries now have impacted the NBA significantly? Because that leaves Clay injured also. So you wonder where is he going? He's obviously staying, which would make the Warriors the team to beat again by next year, even though they lose Boogie. So healthy is really more important than more talent. Because if KD didn't go down and Klay Thompson, they would have won again. We all know that. But sometimes, things happen in the game. Things happen in the game. And, prayers out to Clay. Prayers out to KD as well. As much as I wanted the Golden State Warriors to lose, you don't want to see people go down through injury. Yeah, because it affects their money. And I always want to see a guy get paid, especially legendary guys like Clay and KD. It's fortunate. Quick honorable mentions: Danny Green, you're a fool. Almost cost him the game, and he really didn't play well the last couple of games, to be honest. But hey, he had his one big game where he balled out, and that helped him. Jeremy Lin won a championship now. Uh, Won a championship before Melo, CP3, Harden, Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to grind it out, man, and you'll get a championship too. So, shouts out to him, former Nick. Another honorable mention I have for who else? Oh, Mark Gasol won a championship now too. It's crazy, man. Now both Gasol brothers are NBA champions. That's what it's about, That's why I appreciated this win in Toronto, and of course, last but not least, we got Kyle Lowry, Van Vliet, Siakam, and of course Kawhi, the Claw Leonard. Winning a championship your own way, not anybody else's way, is sometimes the best way to win it. He left the Spurs and people were questioning him. Nobody will question him now, right, for doing what he wanted to do, and look how well it paid off for him. Um, we last but not least, of course, DeMar DeRozan. He must be feeling sad, but he must also be feeling happy at the same time, I think. Because I think that just being able to watch your former team win a championship, that's what it's about. Of course, he would have wanted to be there with his team, but if it was DeMar DeRozan still there and Kawhi Leonard would have stayed, they would not have won the championship. And you got to remember that sometimes. Sometimes you make these trades to see if you could really win a championship. And GM Marani, however you say his name, you know what I'm talking about. He did his thing, and it got him to the promised land. So be competitive again next year. LA's in it, Golden State is in it, Houston is winning, Bucks, um, Philly as well. But for right now, let's have this win for the Raptors, and I'll see y'all next time, man. Let me know what you thought in the comments section. Like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time, man. Peace. I'm out.